Good afternoon. You're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Let's have a look at how the local bourse closed today, Tuesday. Okay, we kick things off with what should be the biggest news in the equity space today. RCBC's 4.99% stake sale to Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation. That amounts to 4.48 billion pesos for 101.85 million treasury shares of RCBC. That's going to be priced at 44 pesos each. Now, RCBC shares skyrocketed after that share sale news, soaring as much as 50%, its largest intraday advance since 1997. Now, RCBC President and CEO Eugenio Acevedo said this will bolster the bank's long-term growth and future prospects, especially in going digital. The lender is setting its sights on applying for a digital bank license, eventually veering away from traditional stores to a mobile app, radically cutting expenses. It's looking at 2 units as a possible spin-off. Their senior vice president, Jomi De Vera, says this will push its risk assets by 100 billion pesos, with core equity tier 1 ratio improving to 11.75% from 11.01% on a pro forma basis. Now, after that 50% rise to 28 pesos, RCBC shares pared back those gains but still eked out a huge gain today of 28.4% to 24 pesos and 40 centavos a share. And that climb trickled down to the whole financial counter here, with the index increasing by 1.5%, its biggest jump yet in 2 weeks here. RCBC, of course, a lion's share of that gain. Union Bank and China Bank also in the green by more than 2%, while BDO, East West Bank, and BPI all up by more than 1%. So that rally, as expected, also spilled over to the main index as a whole, with the PSEI making a 0.3% surge to 6,956.65. Even, of course, as the country extends GCQ restrictions in the NCR Plus until mid-July. This, of course, will still allow most businesses to operate, although some, like restaurants, will be doing so at a limited capacity. And looking at some of the businesses here which should benefit from this bit of news, it's looking like a mixed picture, a mixed bag, as you have a number of restaurant suppliers managing to end the day in the green. You have URC up by 1.5%, San Miguel also increasing by close to 8%. However, on the other end of the spectrum, you have food operator Jollibee in the red, down 0.9%. Mall operators like Mega World, Ayala Land, and Robinson's Land also edging lower, as well as retailer Robinson's Retail. Now, but let's get out of the main index once more for another winner, this time House of Investments. That surged as much as 15% today, its biggest gain yet in 7 months. That's on the heels of the holding company inking a partnership with Japan's Sojitz to develop a property in Makati. It's going to be a 60-40 venture, with majority still going to House of Investments. But House of Investments pared back gains to 5.25% to 4 pesos and 21 centavos apiece. Now, President Duterte has approved the merger of Landbank of the Philippines and the United Coconut Planters Bank, or UCPB. Executive Order number 142, signed June 25, said UCPB's rehabilitation needs prompted the merger. Landbank will be the surviving entity. Now, Malacanang also approved the sale of the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation's special preferred shares in UCPB to Landbank for 12 billion pesos. Now, both Landbank and UCPB were ordered to prepare and implement an integration plan for the merger. The Anti-Money Laundering Council is keeping its cool after news of the Philippines being grey-listed once again over money laundering issues. AMLC Executive Director Attorney Mel Georgie Racela told Businessworld Live earlier today that the gray list won't have direct repercussions unless the country misses the deadline to implement the needed action plan. Bangko Sentral Governor Ben Diokno also isn't too stressed, saying the country may exit the dirty money list in less than 2 years. Diokno, who is also AMLAC chairman, says the Philippines may be delisted upon completion of all action plans on or before January 2023. Correct in allaying fears that the gray listing will have any direct impact on the country other than strict monitoring. Now, to get the point of view of the business sector, we have on the show the president of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, Sir Sergio Ortiz-Luis Jr. Good afternoon, Sir Serge.
Good afternoon, Jess, to our listeners.
Right, sir. How exactly will the country's re-inclusion in the gray listing affect the way we do business? Or is this, like what the AMLAC said, really just increased monitoring?
Well, I guess that with just increased monitoring, I don't think there is any sanction being given if you're in the gray list. I remember in the past, in 2013, there was some fears that that our remittances, even of our OFWs, will be delayed, and the transactions of the exports will be delayed. But I don't think it really happened. No? And I think when we were taken out of the list, unfortunately, I think there was a list of the things that we have to comply with. And if I remember correctly, about 80 of them. And maybe perhaps due to the pandemic, we were not able to complete them. No, if I remember what I heard is about 18 of them were not yet complied with, and that is why they put us in the gray list.
Should we fall short in addressing those 18 deficiencies, that's when at least we should expect some level of sanctions or at least a more direct impact to the country.
I guess so. Any sanction, and sometimes some of the countries who are affected by terrorism or this, and some banks sometimes are eager viewer about the sanctions. So it's really better if we show them that we are seriously addressing all these issues.
Now, should we fail to address again those deficiencies, do we expect a higher interest rates and processing fees as well as a result of the gray listing?
I think it is possible. Sometimes they just some banks, some countries just use it for convenience, no, just to force, especially us. Actually, the beneficiary of this AMLA is them. They're the one who are watching we're the one watching their backs for them, and I think that is the problem that we are facing. That some of them are really serious about addressing this issue of terrorism, especially, and they might just simply start making it difficult for our businessmen to transact.
Now, of course, we've been blacklisted in the past. Can you give us an idea how exactly that affected the way you did business?
Well, remittances were slowed down, no, and I think even the requirements for our exporters were quite a lot, no, and putting that in perspective, of course, buyers would prefer to buy from countries that do not have any issues on AMLA, and therefore I think we lost quite a number of buyers in that case, and I think the business sector noticed really a slowing down of some of the investment also.
How do you think will this affect efforts for the economy to recover from the pandemic?
Well, especially now that we have the pandemic and we're trying to recover, and being one who is really deep in it, I guess we have disadvantage because we are already in the tail ender of those expected to be able to recover. Yet if we are still sanctioned and given this extra baggage, I think it will be difficult for us to be able to recover.
Do you think this will also put in limbo any effort to actually get an A credit rating, or should we be worried as well of a possible downgrade?
Oh, well, actually, at the moment, I think our classification in our borrowings is quite high, no?
Mhm.
And we don't expect that to be downgraded just because of AMLAC. So I think we will continue to enjoy the classification, but if we are really put in a blacklist or dark list, that they call it, that should really raise the interest that you are paying. Well, basically, the government will be affected very much.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the pandemic was a factor in the holdup when it comes to addressing the 18 deficiencies. What do you think are the other factors here that contributed to us failing to meet those requirements by the FATF?
Actually, I don't really know what are the 18
Mhm.
issues that were not, no, but I'm just supposing that some of them we just failed to address simply because there is pandemic. Because I think the Banco Central, who is chairing our AMLA here, I think is serious in with Governor Diokno being on top of it, no? And if we are not able to address it, there must be some reason why in our structure that we were not able to address it during the pandemic.
Okay, now lastly, sir, the BSP is confident that we can delist in 2 years. How confident are you that we can actively work on the remaining action plans here?
I don't know what are the 18 issues, and if they say they're confident, I guess they have a basis to say that. No? I guess they know what they can, what they cannot do. So I think that would be that would be quite. I think we are back on it. What we are hoping is that we, rather than waiting for the 2 years, maybe what Governor Jokto was saying, that maybe January in 2023 we might be able to get out of it already. I hope that is possible.
Now, lastly, sir, just before we let you go, might as well ask you about the private sector's vaccination efforts. How are you? How far along are you when it comes to that, sir?
Well, our vaccines that we ordered have not yet arrived. No, some of our colleagues, the group of PA Joey Concepcion, I think they're beginning now to fund their vaccines. The AstraZeneca, the Moderna, if I'm not mistaken, some of them arrived yesterday, and but many of us in PCCI in Pinexport we ordered double box, and because of the issues in India, I think it's delayed because that's an American company, but they outsource the manufacture in India. So I guess there has been some issue, but all the permits and all the have been complied with now. So I guess it was expected to arrive July, maybe August, I think, is a good guess from what I heard from Secretary Galvez.
All right, but when do you target to at least start the vaccination of your members?
Well, actually, we are lucky because many of the LGUs are really trying to address the frontliner, our workers, so to speak. No? In our case, I think Pasay City, Makati, and Quezon City have actually been including our employees in the list, even if they don't reside there, no? Because I think they realize the importance of because these are frontliners in business, and they're also a start. They also believe that we have to that these people are really frontliners in that sense. So they are trying to address the issue. So many of the imported issue boxes of the companies might just be donated to the to the LGUs that have addressed their vaccination problem for their employees.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Again, Sergio Ortiz-Luis Jr., President of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Jess, and to our listeners.
And those are the biggest stories this trading day, June 29, 2021. Catch Business World live again tomorrow for the market open at 9:30 a.m. and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe. Philippines.